Hello everybody. Another upload on this channel, the second channel. I really like uploading these like sort of like motivational videos where like I just talk over some gameplay. Also, Fortnite gameplay on screen. I don't want to hear anything about no, oh my god, you look at you playing Fortnite, bro. Nah, let me have my fun, bro, you know? They brought back the OG thing and I've been playing it ever since because it's just fun. I play like a mix of zero build and like with building, just because of, you know, there's so many splits, but that's besides the point. I just want you guys to have something high octane, you know, but whatever. So I want to talk about the unachievable goal. All right, now like a few months ago I watched this Casey Neistat video called Sisyphus and the Impossible Dream, where he basically talked about a bunch of like goals he had, and like the main thing that he wanted to do is like run a marathon under like in like a specific time, like a record time, which he ended up doing. It took him so long and Sisyphus at the end made like the statement made sense, because Sisyphus basically is this story of long story short, it's basically just a guy who was cursed and has to go up a mountain, but there's this rock that always like keeps pushing him down, so he has to go and go and go again, and it seems like there's like no end to this like curse. And that was basically what he felt like, I guess, like based off the video. And I sort of like I seem like I really relate in that sense, like in the sense that most of the things I tried to achieve always felt like Sisyphus, like I was always trying to go up and then always was like pushed down by something. And that's what I want to talk about today, because I feel like there's so many people nowadays that want to be YouTubers, or that want to do great things online, because fucking online been going crazy, like the online generation. There's been so many new content creators coming up and just making their waves, which is so awesome and so beautiful to see. But there's people that see success from other people and they don't see that person's struggles, right? They don't see that person having been all the way at the bottom in their life, and they think like, oh, you just you knew it all and stuff, and then they start to compare themselves to that person, and they say that, oh yeah, I'm not gonna be successful because, bro, look at this guy, he has this and this quality. But they don't see, for example, with my skill set, editing and documentaries and everything, basically. My latest video, it's a video on the rabbit hole. It's like a rabbit hole basically on like adult content. I don't want to make this video about that, but basically I didn't even care about the views, but it still ended up getting 1.3 million, which is, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty crazy. It's like my first or like second video that I've ever, like, in all of YouTube that I've ever done that's done this good. And I was super happy, obviously, because my main goal in the video was just to spread the message, right? Because I thought this was, in my opinion, something very messed up, like the stuff that I was talking about there. So yeah, and I want you guys to, if you're trying to be a YouTuber, or you're trying to sort of follow in my footsteps, or like, just not my footsteps, but like if you're just trying to be a online creator, like just creating stuff, then I gotta tell you this, right? And this is coming from, bro, I've been like, if you talk about content creation and like YouTube and stuff, or like, just content creation in general, bro, I've been at this for a decade, literally ever since like 2014 or 2013. I've been always like, I always had like, fucking it's probably like a fucking 20,000 channels now that I had, but like, like when you were a kid, you posted those videos and they never picked up, and you just ended up deleting them and stuff because you got older and stuff and you cringed. I was basically, I wasn't cringing, but I was just always like evolving. And basically what I used to do is I used to just post videos, and I just tried to learn as much, well, not even learn, I just had fun at what I was doing, right? And I just kept on evolving that, right? I had more fun, kept on evolving and stuff, made multiple channels. All of them flopped, really. Like, it took me literally a decade to get to where I am right now. So yeah, I kept on hitting these rock bottoms, and it felt like Sisyphus to me. I didn't even know what Sisyphus was at the time, right? Because I was so young, but I did feel like that because it was just like I tried. Sometimes, bro, I would spend like 2 or 3 hours editing a video, like a gaming video back then, and would just not do good, right? And I was like, yeah, like this is not gonna work out. And the thing is, I grew up with like Dan TDM and stuff, like and I was watching Dan TDM when he like started to pop up, like when he, he was like reaching a million stuff and stuff. Like even when, bro, I was watching Dan TDM. Some of you guys might not know this, but remember that vlogging channel that Dan had, the Dan TDM vlogs or something, bro? I was around that time, like even earlier. I watched Dan TDM, like the mod reviews, everything, bro. I was watching that, and I was like, oh my god, like I did the same thing. I was like comparing myself, right? And it was just like, oh my god, like I'm never gonna be like Dan, because look, this guy's so successful. He has the best camera, he has the best computer, and that sort of pushed me down from achieving what I wanted to achieve, which is not really good. You're not supposed to think like that. You're not supposed to do like that. But basically, yeah, that was basically my issue, and I always like push myself down on this is not good and stuff like that. And that ultimately made me always doubt myself. Like whenever I wanted to achieve something new, I was always like, nah, it's not gonna work out. It's like I'm just, not fit to do this. In fact, I'm just be honest with you guys. YouTube is actually one of my biggest goals in life, like to be a content creator. Ever since I was a kid, obviously. But my second most favorite thing, my second most like ambitious thing that I want to do is become a game developer, right? Now, game developing, bro, if I tell you, bro, when I tell you I've been trying to learn game development for like 4 or 5 years minimum. I can't even remember how long it was, bro. I tried Unreal Engine, like not Unity at first. I tried to like, see how I can make like a horror game at Unity. It didn't work out. Then I tried to learn, like the programming language, like C#, C++, all that stuff. It was too complicated. I quit. I always like doubted myself. I'm too stupid to learn this, right? Then ultimately when I discovered the Unreal Engine, I wanted to learn that, and I was like, oh no, like the blueprint stuff, hell no, because that's like their programming language. Like it's basically like Lego blocks if you just look at it, that you like connect, and then you have like a game logic or whatever. But the blueprints were like basically, yeah, sure, they might be like Lego blocks, like you just connect them and stuff and something happens, but bro, the text, I didn't understand shit. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know this, like a single thing that was being said there. So I gave up, and that was the worst thing I could have ever done. I used to always watch tutorials on like how I could become a game developer, like learn Unity. There was this one guy called like Bracky or something, like Bracky Code Development or something. Let me see what his name is. Yeah, Bracky's. He used to teach like how to learn Unity and like make 2D games and whatnot. And I was binging those videos, but I still wasn't getting anywhere. And even when I was like 12 or 13, I even wanted to do web development, right? Website like coding and stuff, HTML. I was able to do that too because I thought it was too dumb. But here's the thing. In all the things that I kept on being pushed down and experiencing, the Sisyphus syndrome, as I like to call it, I never gave up. And that's one thing that I never really realized along the way. Now looking back at me having so basically I've already learned a bit of the Unreal Engine. Like I know how to make renders, like 3D animations in Unreal Engine, which is super good because it's optimized for like high poly scenes, like big scenes. But looking back, when I accomplished that, when I learned game development, which by the way, I have a Patreon site called iamby.surf. It's not like an ad, but just there's like a video library there that I coded myself, right? And even when I was younger, I kept on going and get like at web development. Sure, on game development I stopped at sometimes, but I never completely stopped, right? And I also tried to learn Blender, right? When I was like, again, like 13 or like 12 years old, I tried to learn Blender and I was not good at it, And content creation too. I mean, I already said that, but I tried to, back then it was always chasing virality, like back then I was like trying to just go viral, but nowadays I'm just, you know, chasing the best quality I can, because it's way more fun for me to, you know, I like to be challenged in terms of like upping my other, like my previous video in terms of quality. But as I kept on learning these things, you know, Blender, Unreal Engine, getting my first ever really huge video, I realized that one thing that separated me from maybe somebody else that just completely stopped is the momentum. And by momentum, I mean just keep on, like, you know, stay moving. That's what I mean. I don't mean like keep on learning every single day. No. There were days where I just didn't learn Blender, didn't learn web development, didn't learn Unity or Unreal Engine, or like, you know, how to edit a video when I was younger. And I decided to play, you know, Minecraft or Roblox. But the main point was that I always kept on going. I still wanted to have that dream of making my first game, of, you know, of making my first 3D animation, my first 3D render. And I never stopped coming back to those dreams. It's like a working shift. Like, you don't just work 24/7. You know, it's like a 9 to 5. Like, you don't just work 24/7 on a shift, unless you're at fucking Blizzard or something. But you have shifts. You go home, you take a break, maybe you have a holiday, and then you come back and you work. And that was the thing. I failed at so many, like hundreds of channels that I tried to open. I always tried to, you know, edit and stuff, like learn how to edit. And I always failed, and I stopped for a bit. I played games and stuff. But in the end, I never stopped. You know, like, if I were to say, like, in the perspective of, like, you know, Sisyphus, I never stopped pushing the rock until I got to the other side. You know, until I got to the top of the mountain. And that, I feel like, is a key factor in learning things. It's not about spending 24 hours a day learning how to program a website, or how to make your first 2D game, or how to make your first 3D game, or how to make your first Blender render. It's about having that passion still burn inside of you, in the sense that you still think about that dream, even when you're playing games, even when you're not working on that dream. And it's also not comparing yourself to others and just focusing on what you have that pushes you forward. You know, as I got older into my teens, I stopped comparing myself. Like, I still did it sometimes, but I was just distracted from it. And why? Well, because I was way too distracted in learning for my goals. So that's what I think is the message of this video, you know, is that you shouldn't, or you don't have to spend all the time you have in your day on learning something. You can if you want to, right? You know, but ultimately the thing that's gonna get you the farthest and help you achieve something is if you just don't stop, if you don't leave that passion behind, you know. Now, as I'm getting more stable and stuff financially, thanks to YouTube, thanks to the editing jobs I've been able to acquire, I've been able to make more time for my passions. And one of those, the biggest one actually, being game development. It's something that I'm trying to, or will keep on pursuing. Like, sure, there's phases where I've just been focused on making a documentary or something, but I still look up those videos of those guys talking about how they made a game without, you know, any experience, or like people showing off their game that they made with no experience, like, you know, showing off their first game, or looking at game engines and stuff and how they work, I still never stopped. And that's why I believe, and I truly believe this is also another thing. Mentally, you have to distract yourself from the thought of I'm not gonna make it, and just think, okay, like, just think of the goal, like, think of what you have to do and stuff. Because ultimately your goal is a marathon, all right? Your goal is like a race. The start line is basically you entering that goal. And, you know, like, for example, for me in school, when there were, like, you know, those like running things, there was like a big sports field, and we had to like run around it like once for warm up in high school. And the thing that always made me not be as fast as I could be is that before the teacher said, all right, go, I wasn't thinking about, all right, I have to start running in this time. I was thinking about me failing. And that's ultimately why I never achieved that, you know, to be the fastest runner and whatever and whatnot. But that's ultimately the thing I have to tell you, is that you have to mentally believe that you can do it. You have to not think of what if, or how will they think about it, or I'm not good enough at this. Because talent, one of my favorite artists called Scarlord, in a podcast or like interview with Anthony, I forgot his second name, but the Anthony guy, the guys, those, you know, those interviews, like I spent 24 hours. One of the things that Scarlord said in there was that talent was a scam, because everybody has talent. Talent isn't a thing that's acquired by a select group of people. Talent is something that everybody has, but in my opinion, most people aren't utilizing it because of their mental image of themselves, their mental image of their brains, their lack of knowledge, their lack of experience in a field that they're trying to enter, which ultimately makes them believe that they're dumb and not talented. And that starts to paint this whole picture of this guy is so talented, because I mean, that's what you see all around. Like, for example, on my video, when it picked up in the homepage, there were like so many people saying, yo, you're so talented, like this guy's a talent. But I'm not really talented in that sense. I would say I'm level 100 in this game, or like level 70 or 50. That's basically how I look at it. I'm not talented because I also believe that talent in some extent is a scam, because again, it's not something that only a specific group of people have. Talent is something that is universal, that is everywhere, and it's connected to your mental image, which is ultimately the reason why so many people start to think that this guy's talented or I'm not talented. But in reality, everybody's talented. It's just about staying, like, you know, keeping the velocity going and not hitting the brakes or not turning off the engine. So the thing I have to tell you is that you shouldn't think of yourself as I'm too dumb to learn this or something. Or you try to learn game development and you just look at this wall of code and it's like, you know, you're like, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm just too dumb with this. Or, you know, you're not dumb. You just haven't seen the bigger picture. You just haven't think of what you would be in the future if you decided to actually look into that code and decided to think, all right, why does this make this and this work like it is? Why does this button on a website redirect me to this website? And ultimately, that's what's going to separate you too from other people. Will you keep the momentum going? Will you let go of false mental images? And will you just sit there and talk to yourself and say, I'm not good enough for this? Will you let others decide who you are and who you're going to be based on results, based on your performance on something that you don't even want to do? Or, you know, are you going to actually disconnect from mental images of yourself? Are you going to disconnect from opinions? Are you going to detach your heart from words of others' mouths? And are you going to attach your heart to your brain? Form a sort of a connected brain, like a connected computing system. And will you start to understand why this is that? Why that is this? How you can go to level 50 in this field? Will you keep the momentum going, or are you just going to be like everybody else and let others decide who you are?